Here's a puzzle for you. What London borough had a famous Prime Minister as its MP? With his arch-rival living just down the road. Which London borough houses the national headquarters of Dr. Barnardo's? And once had Bough charging down its main shopping centre? Well, the answer is the London borough of Redbridge. Where? Redbridge. And where's that? You may well ask. Well, let me try you again. When I tell you that I'm walking down Ilford High Road, now every photographer has heard of Ilford. North of the river, east of the city, on the old Roman road to Colchester. Have you got it now? To the west and north lie Wanstead and Woodford, and since 1964, give or take a few additions, they've made up the London borough of Redbridge. Just 7 miles from the city, 15 minutes by train from Liverpool Street, half an hour on the tube from central London, and yet right on the borders of rural Essex. A borough of many surprises. But why Redbridge? Why not Ilwansford or Ilwoodstead? Well, alongside me here is the River Roding, which once divided the three rival townships. That's Wanstead over there, Woodford here behind me, and Ilford in that direction. Now, also down here, over the river, there used to be an old red brick bridge which linked the three communities. So when they amalgamated in 1964, they took the old red bridge as a symbol of unity. Anyway, Ilwansford would have been a bit of a mouthful. Well, sadly, the old red bridge has long since gone. Maybe they used the bricks to build that pillbox over there. Who knows? The old bridge simply couldn't take the volume of traffic. And this is the reason why. This is the main A12 from London to Colchester and Southend, which bypasses the old Roman road through Ilford. And until a year or two back, this was the borough's main problem. It was somewhere people went through to get to somewhere else. The only reason you stopped was for a traffic jam. But all that is changing because there are some very exciting developments taking place in Redbridge. Up here is the M11, taking traffic away from the centre, up to the north, up to the M25, and linking into the national motorway network. And over here, we've got the new South Woodford to Barking Relief Road. This is due to be open in the spring of 1988, and eventually it will link Redbridge with the A2 and the Channel ports across the proposed East London River crossing. What this means, of course, is that it puts Redbridge strategically close to all the main motorways around London. Just half an hour up the M11, you've got the enlarged Stansted Airport. 3 miles to the south is the new London City Airport in Docklands, with short take-off aircraft to the major European capitals. And of course, Gatwick and Heathrow are both easily accessible by motorway. So if you're in business, Redbridge is a pretty good place to be. Take Parcel Line, for instance. They're a national distributor, and their depot is just a stone's throw from the M11. So why did Parcel Line choose to set up in Redbridge?
We've just built a £7 million hub in Birmingham, and this was why we decided on Redbridge, because it would actually improve our trunk times and connection times between London and the Midlands. At the moment it takes us roughly 2.25 hours maximum, and that is a massive improvement on previous trunking out of the centre of London. The quality of employee that we've found from the Redbridge area has been far superior to the standard of employee we used to get in the north of London. And they've proved to be more reliable, more loyal and long-serving, and our labour turnover has actually decreased dramatically since the move to the area.
Good communications are important, not just to major carriers, they're also important for manufacturers getting their goods out to the marketplace.
It's good to be in Redbridge because we have most of the facilities we need within a very close space of where we're based here. From a location viewpoint, this is in many respects ideal for what we want to do. We also need to get at the city, which is a centre for many of the decision makers that we're involved in, and I can get there in half an hour without any difficulties. We find people have a certain character in this particular area, a certain style, and they're very pleasant people, and they have a certain spirit which we find helps us in the kind of work that we're involved in.
I've lived in the borough all my life. I was born in it, and I like it very much. There's plenty going on, plenty of sporting facilities. Schools are very good. And I think there's sort of prices to suit everyone. We lived in Woodford originally before we moved here, and we found it a struggle at first to find the cash, I think, but it's all been worthwhile. 2 years we've lived in now, and we're sort of seeing the benefit now of buying our own house. I think Redbridge do encourage people to buy their own houses. I think it's one of the things they do help them with.
I do like the schools in the borough. I think they give the parents a lot of say, like everybody, got the choice now. And I like the facilities, like Peter said, and my daughter swims for Redbridge when she gets the chance.
We've got everything around here for kids, plenty of leisure facilities. Everything about Redbridge, leisure side of it, for kids, I think it's great. It's really good.
So, Redbridge is a good place to live in and a good place to bring the children up in, and also a very good place to work. But how good? Well, let's take housing, for example. These fine Edwardian terraces were solidly built, certainly no jerry building here, but some of them did lack basic amenities like bathrooms, hot water, so the council designated them as general improvement areas and gave them higher grants so that they could bring themselves up to standard. And very pleasant they are too. The council has also improved the general look of the area by planting trees and shrubs, and in some cases altering the traffic flow and parking arrangements. Redbridge is predominantly residential, much of it built between the 20s and the 60s, and parts of the borough have a distinct character of their own, almost a period feel to them. To preserve their character, the council has designated special residential precincts, like this one at Monkham's. So there's a wide variety of houses to choose from, homes to buy and homes to rent. And at the top end of the range, what the estate agents call distinctive homes, in a premier location, much sought after. The council is also committed to releasing a steady flow of land for new housing, without in any way trespassing on the green belt, which accounts for about a third of the borough. Parts of the borough have retained a decidedly village atmosphere, and 10 conservation areas have been created to preserve and enhance this character. Wanstead is one of the loveliest areas in London, comparable in parts to Blackheath or Hampstead. It has a splendid park, once attached to Wanstead House, with its own heronry, just 7 miles from the bustle of the city. This is the Eagle Pond at Snaresbrook, and that splendid building, would you believe, was once an infant orphan asylum, opened in 1843 by Leopold, King of the Belgians. But not anymore, it's now the Crown Court. Then, of course, there's Epping Forest, 750 glorious acres of it within Redbridge.
About 2 years ago now, we decided to move house nearer to work. So I looked around at the various options, one of which was to go out into the country, and the other one would be to come direct to Redbridge itself. And we in fact bought a house in Woodford Green, which we must say we've been very, very pleased with indeed. We've been very pleased with the school. It's a very nice school, teaches traditional maths and English as well as the more modern stuff. Shopping is marvellous because, of course, we have all the local shops like Sainsbury's and things like that. In fact, we have a Sainsbury's just down the road from us. We're very pleased with Woodford. It's got plenty of restaurants, a cinema, so we can get out into the forest very easily, which is marvellous for the youngsters to run around it. And I suppose a big plus as well, it is one of those few areas, I think, in London, if the papers are to be believed, that you can actually walk around late at night without having to worry. It really is a very nice area.
All in all, there are over 2,000 acres of public and private open space in the borough, with facilities for just about every recreation, bar skiing, of course. This is Fairlop Plain, once part of the Great Forest and celebrated for its mighty oak. For years now, it's been used for gravel extraction, bringing millions of pounds of income to the borough. Now, some of that money is being ploughed back to turn it into a 360-acre country park, complete with a huge artificial lake. Well, this is Ilford High Road, the commercial centre of Redbridge, and it's down here that Boudh, or Boudica, as some people prefer to call her, is supposed to come thundering along on her way to sack London. Now, the fact is that if she tried it today, the council wouldn't let her. Why, John Ramsden?
Because we've bypassed the town centre and now we're pedestrianising the high road right through the centre of Ilford.
And that is going on as happily as you would want it to?
Well, it's going ahead very quickly and we're going to be completed in the next few months. So Queen Boudh won't be able to come through then.
What are you trying to do here in Ilford, in the town centre?
We're going to take the opportunity given to us by the new roads here to put Redbridge very much on the map, to show people what the opportunities are for investment and employment in the borough.
And does the business community already here in Ilford share your optimism?
Oh, very much so. Many of our local employers are increasing their investment in the borough. Two examples, Boots and Marks and Spencer's, both very large employers here in the High Road, have both recently put a lot of money into their existing shops here.
And then there's Exchange 3. I've heard you speaking very enthusiastically about that.
Well, it's a very large shopping precinct that is being put together by private developers, a covered shopping precinct with a large number of shopping units. It's a tremendous sign of confidence in the borough by hard-headed businessmen who now see this as a good place to invest.
The Norwich Union and the Prudential have got a very exciting opportunity to create a magnificent new shopping scheme in the centre of Ilford. Basically, the scheme comprises the linking of the prime pedestrian pitch in the High Road with a very busy part of Cranbrook Road. In simple terms, the scheme is on 3 levels, running over the railway line, comprises 90 shops, a large department store of 100,000 square feet, and car parking for over 1,000 cars, with an entrance from either side of the railway line, so it's very easy access from whichever part of Ilford you come. This is very important because Ilford's communications themselves are improving markedly. This basically increases the existing catchment area of 500,000 people within 10-minute drive time to 1 million people within a 20-minute drive time. This is very important for Ilford and for Redbridge. The council themselves are very innovative. They have appointed a borough manager whose responsibility will be to market not only the town centre but the borough, and this is very important because shopping centres are now a more and more competitive item.
Retailers, then, are already getting the message that Redbridge has all the potential of a major shopping centre like Brent Cross or Wood Green.
Redbridge offers a unique opportunity to anyone in the commercial field. We have very, very good communication links with Essex and East London. We are, of course, redeveloping very strongly a new commercial heart to Redbridge in Ilford Town Centre. And with all the development that's going on, we can promise many markets, many new markets appearing over the next few years, which, frankly, are not available anywhere else in Essex and East London.
So, Ilford and Redbridge are on the up and up. The town centre boasts a new central library, opened in 1986. It's one of 12 in the borough, and the Kenneth More Theatre, named after the famous actor. And to cater for the increased shopping, they have provided over 2,000 car parking spaces, with more on the way. But it won't clog up the town centre because they've also built this relief road to take the through traffic. What about education? That's what every parent wants to know. What are the schools like? Well, there's a wide selection. Excellent comprehensives like this one at Hainault, a couple of good grammar schools, and a number of private establishments. There's also a school of music. Redbridge is rightly proud of its musical reputation. And a higher than average proportion of students go on to further education. But what are the prospects for them when they leave school? Well, unemployment in London is lower than the rest of the country, and in Redbridge it's lower than in most other boroughs. Plessy is one of the largest employers. There's plenty of office development going on, and here's one of the public limited companies which chose Redbridge for its national headquarters.
We started here about 11 years ago, about 2 miles away. in one room above some shops, and have just grown and grown and grown over the last 11 years, and we're now in this Citygate house. Office accommodation is high quality and relatively low cost. We pay 1/2 to 1/3 of what our competitors pay for the same accommodation. The local staff are of a high quality. Because we're in a specialist industry, sometimes we do have to go further for certain key people, but the local polytechnic seems to be generating more and more people of the calibre we need, so that's looking good as well. Redbridge is the place for us.
Well, there you have it. Redbridge is clearly an excellent place to set up in business. It's outside central London, yet reasonably close to it, and there are good fast connections by tube and rail. And of course you have excellent access to the national motorway network. And what a good place to live in. There are plenty of open spaces, good shops, good schools, and good leisure facilities. Why don't you give it a try? Now then, if you want to know anything about Redbridge, these are the people to tell you.